Imagine someone who knows everything there is to know about color, wavelengths, the neuroscience of perception, the physics of light, yet has never actually seen a single color in her life. Then one day, she sees red for the first time. What happens? This is not a riddle. This is one of the most famous and fascinating thought experiments in modern philosophy. Mary's room, conceived by philosopher Frank Jackson in 1982. And it is not just a quirky mental puzzle, it was a deep dive into the nature of knowledge, consciousness, and what it means to experience something. Some argue it challenges the very core of science itself. So, here's the scenario. Mary is a brilliant scientist living in a completely black and white world. Let's call it a lab. No color in her environment, her books, her screens, not even a hint of hue in her clothes or food. She has lived this way since birth. Despite this, she has studied color vision her entire life. She understands every scientific fact about color, the physics of light, the biology of the eye, the brain's responses to different wavelengths. If there's a textbook fact about how humans see red, green, or blue, Mary knows it. Now imagine the day Mary leaves the black and white lab and sees a red apple for the very first time. The big question is, did Mary learn something new? Did she gain new knowledge? Or did she just see something she already knew in scientific terms? That's the heart of the thought experiment. And depending on how you answer, it could shake your entire understanding of consciousness. Jackson originally designed the thought experiment to argue against physicalism, the belief that everything, including consciousness, can be fully explained by physical processes. If Mary does learn something new when she sees red, then there must be more to human experience than just the physical facts. Right? But before we go deeper, let's rewind. This question taps into one of the oldest and trickiest issues in philosophy, the hard problem of consciousness. We can describe neurons, pathways, and chemical signals, but how does all of that produce the feeling of seeing red? The qualia, the subjective, internal experience. Let's put it in everyday terms. Imagine you're eating a slice of pizza. We can explain the taste in terms of molecules, taste buds, and brain activity. But does that fully capture what it's like to taste pizza? What about love, pain, or the smell of fresh rain on asphalt? The Mary's room experiment pokes at this philosophical bruise. Critics of Jackson's argument, especially those who support physicalism, say no, Mary doesn't learn a new fact. She simply gains a new ability. This is called the ability hypothesis. According to this view, Mary doesn't learn anything new about the world. She just gains the capacity to recognize and imagine colors in a new way. Think of it like this. You might know everything about swimming from reading books, but you don't really know how to swim until you get in the water. Still, all you've done is gained a skill, not new factual knowledge. Other thinkers argue that Mary's new experience isn't a skill or a fact, but a perspective, a new way of representing what she already knew. She didn't gain knowledge about red, they say. She just saw it from the inside. But wait, it gets weirder. What if Mary had some sort of visual simulator that mimicked the experience of seeing color? Or what if we uploaded her brain into a computer and gave her access to artificial color vision? Would that be enough to say she knows red? The experiment raises a chilling possibility. Some things might only be understandable through experience. No matter how advanced science gets, there may be subjective truths, qualia, that are beyond its grasp. Let's consider a real-world parallel, virtual reality. VR can simulate a roller coaster ride and even fool your balance system into thinking you're plunging down a track. But is that the same as actually being on a roller coaster? If you'd never experienced one in real life, would the VR version give you the full picture? Or would something still be missing? Mary's room puts that question into stark philosophical terms. If knowledge of everything physical about a phenomenon isn't enough to give you the full picture, then what is consciousness made of? Let's zoom out. In religious or spiritual traditions, there's often a belief in experiences that transcend language, things you must feel to understand. Even in art and music, you can fully describe the feeling of a song or a painting using physics and chemistry alone. There's something extra, something human. Let's bring this into modern science. Neuroscience today is rapidly advancing. Brain scans, neural mapping, even attempts at uploading consciousness into machines. But if Mary's room holds water, then no matter how perfect our brain maps are, we still might never know what someone else's experience is like. Think about empathy. When someone tells you they're heartbroken or euphoric, you relate, but you don't feel it the way they do. The color red to you might look slightly different to me, and we'd never know. And here's a twist. Frank Jackson, the philosopher who created this whole thought experiment, later changed his mind. He came to believe that everything is physical after all, and that Mary's story doesn't actually disprove physicalism. According to his later views, what Mary gains is a new representation or mental model, not new non-physical knowledge. This hasn't stopped the philosophical world from obsessing over Mary's room. It's used in arguments about AI. Can machines ever really have consciousness? If we build a robot that knows everything about human emotion but can't feel sadness, does it really understand sadness? It's used in ethics. How much value do we place on subjective experience versus measurable outcomes? And it's used in debates about the limits of science. Is science the ultimate tool for understanding reality? Or are there aspects of reality that are inherently inaccessible to observation? Let's circle back to that red apple. You pick it up. You bite in. Sweet, tart, crunchy. If someone had explained to you the exact sugar concentration, the pressure of the bite, the neuronal firing in your taste centers, would that have been enough? Or is the experience of biting into it something fundamentally different from knowing about it? Mary's room doesn't answer that question. It asks it, loudly. And maybe that's the point. Because sometimes the most important knowledge isn't just what we can measure, but what we can feel. So the next time you watch a sunset or fall in love or hear a piece of music that moves you, ask yourself, is this just chemicals firing in your brain? Or is there something more? Maybe, just maybe, you're stepping out of your own black and white room and into color. And that might be the most human thing of all. If you're the kind of person who loves unraveling brain-twisting ideas and exploring the deeper questions of reality, then you're in the right place. Hit that like button, subscribe for more mind-bending videos, and ring the bell so you never miss an episode that will leave you thinking long after the video ends.